So you pull out your iPhone and you evaluate your backhand loop against backspin. What kind of things are you looking for? Is it good? Is it good enough? Could it be better? What are we looking for? Well, there's 13 things that I want to highlight. The first is your positioning. Now the backhand hitting zone is smaller, so the detail as far as finding the exact position is even more important. If you're reaching here and leaning here, you're not going to have as good of a backhand loop. So make sure you find the right position. The second thing is the distancing. So with forehand loop against backspin, it's easier because the body can be close and you can contact the ball kind of here or here or here. The position matters, but doesn't matter as much as backhand. With backhand, the timing is more sensitive. It's not as wide, it's not as deep, and it's not as high. So your hitting zone on forehand is bigger. Your hitting zone on backhand is much, much, much smaller. So you want to be close to the table, but not too close. Because if you see the opponent pushing and you come too close to the table, then it's tough because you don't have room to swing. If you're too far back, then you end up reaching forward and hitting the ball in the net. If you're too close, then you get jammed. So try your best to analyze what type of push is coming. If you really see your opponent driving through it, you want to give yourself a little bit more space. If you see the opponent kind of reaching and maybe just pushing like this, then you'd want to get a little bit closer. Also, a lot of opponents try to push short, but the push comes deep. Maybe not real deep, maybe kind of like a half-long push. So if you see them attempting to push short and you move in a little bit, you can still backhand loop from here. So it's going to come with a lot of experience, a lot of match play, but try your best to find the ideal distance. The third thing, and this is kind of controversial, is you need to evaluate if you really should backhand loop it or not. Any deep push to your forehand at this stage in your game, you really should try to loop. But if you're a complete beginner and you're just learning backhand loop, there may be some balls that you need to push. Let me give you an example. The opponent serves short to your forehand and you step in and push. Now you regret the fact that you pushed and you kind of just waited here and evaluating your push. The deep one comes here and you are in no position to backhand loop. Should you swing for it or not, given the fact that it's probably a 0% chance that you as a beginner are going to land that? Probably you're going to need to push. So you want to be able to actively look for the ball to come to your backhand. You want to be able to develop the backhand loop. But with backhand loop, I recommend that you evaluate it. Now, I used to take the approach that keep trying it, keep trying it, keep trying. At all costs, use your backhand loop. Well, the problem with that approach is for some complete beginners, when they try to loop everything, they're maybe like 10% on, so they lose confidence easily. So the goal should be that we want to backhand loop all the time, but you have to evaluate, is this a particular ball that I can, or should I just push this one and then possibly loop the next one? The fourth thing is, are your knees bent and your racket up? This is one of the biggest mistakes that I see a lot, is people starting with their racket too far down. You see, the timing where the ball is coming and my body is what brings the racket down really helps you to be able to accelerate at the point of contact using your body and using your racket as well. If your hand is already down, then our fifth point here is it in sync? It's not going to be in sync. The sixth thing is really focusing on keeping your elbow stable. This is one of the critical things, to realize that the technique comes from the wrist and forearm, the snap from here, and then also from the body. But the more stable your elbow is, the more snap you're going to have at the point of contact. The seventh thing is, are you using your core? Are you really able to engage the core and to be able to get a little bit of body rotation? It's important to keep the core engaged, even if it's just a small rotation, to keep you from rocking back. That's the biggest beginner mistake that I see on backhand loop, is as people rock back, their angle is drastically changing. You want to keep the core engaged so that you can stay leaning forward throughout the whole stroke. The legs are lifting, the arm is lifting, but you really want to keep the upper body leaning forward. The eighth thing is keeping your shoulder relaxed, shoulder and elbow relaxed. The ninth thing is make sure that you accelerate at the point of contact. Accelerate at the point of contact. This is a critical thing, because if you decelerate or you're just kind of slowly swinging through the point of contact, the backspin is likely going to win and the ball is going to go down into the net. So you need to be able to accelerate to be able to generate your own spin. And that's the 10th point, is you got to generate spin. How can you tell if you're generating spin? Well, if you are using a light brushing motion, if you hear a light contact, and if you visually see the ball do the arc, you probably are generating spin. There's two common ways to miss. You can miss out or you can miss in the net. Generating spin helps solve both problems. Generating spin gives you the clearance to go over the net, and generating spin helps to bring the ball down as well. The 11th thing is really finishing with your knees bent. Same thing that we talked about in a previously about the forehand. We got to do the exact same thing for the backhand. Our body is starting low, it's going lower, and it's finishing low. We really never want to finish with our body up too high. If you finish up too high, you're not really going to be ready for the next ball. You got to keep the tension in the core, tension in the legs, and really focus on accelerating, but not jumping up too much. The 12th thing is the result. So we said there's two common ways to miss. You can miss out or miss in the net. And it might be due to your technique, or it might be due to the opponent's degree or type of spin that they're giving you. So if you keep looping the ball out, 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 instead of saying, oh, I got to change something in my technique, evaluate, is my opponent giving me less spin? If he's giving me less spin, I can start a little bit higher. I can hit a little bit more forward on the ball and not lift so much. If he's giving me more spin, I need to wait longer. I need to go lower with the body and really use even more lift to get it over the net. There's also two other ways that people, especially beginner intermediate players, miss on backhand, and that's to whiff the ball or bing, hit your edge. If you whiff the ball, it usually means that you swung too early. If you hit your edge, it usually means that you swung too late. So how do you avoid this? By keeping your racket in front longer. Keep your racket in front, move your feet, get in position, and then as the ball crosses the net, then swing. If you take your swing too early and then the ball comes, then it's usually out of sync with your body and you lose the timing. If I keep my racket in front and the ball comes slower, I have more time for a bigger stroke. If I keep my racket in front and the ball comes faster, I have to take a more compact stroke. And the 13th thing, the last thing I want to mention here, is that you've got to be able to have two versions of the backhand loop if you're an intermediate player. If you've got a good loop against backspin, but you always let the ball drop and give slow spin, your game's not going to be as threatening, and the opponent can predict what type of ball is coming. So I'm going to show you two versions here. The first is the slow spin, the one we've been working on here. Watch how I let the ball drop and then spin. And the second one is the driving loop. So how do you hit the driving loop? Well, instead of taking your racket all the way down, you're going to start with your racket a little bit higher here, and you're going to hit forward on the ball. The hinge point is still from the elbow. So the slow one is like this, hinging from the elbow, and the fast one is more like that, hinging from the elbow, hitting more of the top of the bounce and driving through it. Again, if you're a complete beginner, I would not recommend the driving loop. I would recommend just being consistent on the slow spin loop. Work on it with your Power Pong robot. Work on it with a training partner. Play against people at your local table tennis club. Test it and evaluate it. If you're ultra consistent on the slow spin, then go to the faster one. Once you have both contrasts, the slow spinning one and then the faster driving loop, your game is going to be much more threatening if, this is a big if, you can use both weapons consistently. So what if you can't use both weapons? Maybe you only have the slow spin one, and most of the time when you go for the driving one, you miss. Well, that's where Power Pong robot training comes in. Get the repetition with the robot. Add a little bit of movement. Sync it with the other shots. Practice it with your training partner. Use it in matches, and then you're going to be able to use it in important matches at tournaments. Really being able to get the repetition for developing a new skill is one of the main things we're about here at Power Pong. Giving you the tool that you can use at home to get the repetitions that you need.